kind of move around a little bit. You know, roll your shoulders or shake it out. See what you want to do. All right. And then you can either have your eyes open or closed to start to feel your feet on the floor. So noticing all 10 of your toes, you might wiggle them a little bit. You could do that little cat kneading with your toes into the floor. And feel the balls of your feet, the heels of your feet, and noticing if you feel different side to side. And again, eyes can be open or closed. For me, I'm a little bit more able to tune inward when I close my eyes. And get a feeling for your whole body, how it might feel different right to left. And now pushing down through your feet, see if you can stand a little taller, reaching up through the top of your head. And then as you take an inhale, let's open eyes if they're closed, and we'll inhale and reach the arms forward and up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, let's blow out through pursed lips. So making a long exhale all the way down. And we'll do that a couple more times. You can time it with your own breathing. So you'll inhale up, breathing in through your nose, if that works for you. And exhale, long exhale through the mouth. You might even stretch your arms a little bit back as well as you come down, is really opening up across the shoulders. And let's do it one more time. Good. Now this time when the arms come down, just kind of move them around a little bit. Notice how your arms and shoulders feel. And let's do a little bit of rocking on the feet. So we'll inhale, lift the heels up, and exhale, bring them down. And you can lift your toes up, maybe, when you come down, and repeat. Inhale up, exhale down. Try to lift the toes off the floor while keeping the balls of the feet down. So we were talking about breathing to lower blood pressure and how a long exhale can help to start lowering your heart rate and your blood pressure. Of course, when we stand up, our blood pressure goes up, right? So if you're really trying to lower your blood pressure, you would practice that lying down or sitting down or reclining. But we'll talk about that more as well throughout this session. Okay, a couple more. I was feeling those feet working, feeling the ankles working, the calves. Good. And now coming down, let's widen the feet a little bit and swing and twist, just letting your arms flop around. And this can be big, can really turn to the side, or it can be small, totally up to you. You could try exhaling strongly out the mouth when you go to one side. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then coming back to the center, let's notice how you feel on your feet again. We're going to roll out the ankles by tracing the perimeter of one of your feet. You could always hold on to something if you wanted. I'm trying to reach all the edges of my foot. Right? You can also look at it to see what you're getting. And then reverse direction. Good. And then just come back, stand on both feet for a moment, noticing the difference in the two sides. Take a breath in and out. And then do the second side. Notice my knee and my hip are also moving here. So I'm moving that whole leg around. I'm not isolating the ankle. And now go the opposite way. Good. And then just stand on both feet again. So back to Tadasana, which is Sanskrit, the name of this pose, mountain pose. And see if you can feel the ground a little bit differently than you did before. Might notice that it's different. And also, can you get a little bit taller? Breathing in through the nose. And you can breathe out through the nose or through the mouth, whichever works better for you. Good. Now for this next part, you can use either the wall or the back of your chair, okay? I'm gonna show it with the chair just so I can stay right here, and I'll use the wall in a moment for something else. All right. So most of you have done this with me before. We're gonna do a little foot and ankle movement. So I'm going to step forward with my right foot, just place my hands on my chair, and I'm going to bend the back toes. You see how I'm doing that? My heel comes up, but my toes are on the floor flat. Okay, so I think you guys can see it, but I'm gonna show it a little closer. Extending the toes, right? Like that. All right, so I'll come forward on the inhale doing that. And then on the exhale, I'm gonna just lean back to that back leg, bend the back knee, sending my hip back, and dorsiflexion of the front ankle. So the foot comes up, you roll onto the heel, and I'm also stretching that front hamstring as I do that. Okay, and then I'm going to come up, and we'll move a little faster in a moment. Just inhale the toes, and exhale. Now, if this hurts your back knee, don't bend it as much, right? So you can decide how much you want to go or hinge at the hip. It can be a little, or it can be a lot. All right, and hi, Rhonda just joined us. So this is a good warm-up exercise in the morning. At night, we were talking about things to do before bed. It's nice to do longer stretches that are more calming for the nervous system. And in the morning, or before you're gonna do some exercise, you can do yoga poses that have more movement in them. Okay, now next time I come up, with this back foot, I'm gonna roll over the top of the foot. So now I'm stretching it into plantar flexion. And then I'll go back and do the same thing. Okay, so now I'm just coming up, stretching the top of the foot and the toes into flexion as well, and then going back. And you can always adjust how far away you are, how deep you bend. Okay, now this next time we come up, let's stay there in this plantar flexion with the back ankle. Try to stand tall. If you start to cramp up in your foot, you can roll the ankle around and come back or walk around. And you're putting pressure. So for me today, I'm feeling it mostly in the front of my ankle, but you might be feeling it in your toes, your foot, even your shin. Okay, one more breath. Good, and then just step off of it. Feel both of your feet here. Notice the difference in the two sides. All right, and then let's do the second side. So stand a little bit back from the chair, step the left foot forward, extend the back toes, and then as you exhale, you're bending the back knee and hinging any amount, and then coming forward again. So on the wall, it's the same thing, right? You could use any surface here. Good. And now let's start rolling over the top of the back foot, stretching the top of the foot, and then coming back and down and again. Good, and then this time let's stay in the plantar flexion. Hi, Patricia. Good to see you. And stretch the top of the foot. You could have your hands on a wall or a chair for this, Patricia. Good. A couple more breaths here. Good, and then standing on both of your feet again. Just feel them on the floor. Notice any changes. Okay, and from here, let's inhale, squeeze the shoulders up by your ears, and exhale, let them drop. And up, and up. Good. All right, now this is when we're going to need a wall. And for me, I need padding below my heels, so I'm gonna bring my blanket over there. And we're going to strengthen the front of the lower leg. So you really need something to lean on with your hips, all right? And I'm gonna take the feet away from the wall, any amount. The further away you take them, the harder it is, okay? The legs are going to stay fully straight in this, okay? So to do that, you might just put your hands down on your thighs and you'll see them hinging from the hips, okay? Now from here, I'm going to try to lift the feet off the floor. I'm rocking onto the heels and put them back down. And lift and put them back down without bending my knees. And I'm trying to draw the toes as high up toward the shins into that dorsiflexion as I can. And after you do about 10 of these, it should start to feel a bit of fatigue or a lot. For me, I like to go a little bit further down like this, like hinging more. That will increase it, but if also you're not feeling it, stepping the feet further away will also increase it, okay? But you might find it difficult to do and you might need to be up high or closer to the wall with your feet. Okay, now I'm really starting to feel the fatigue. Keep breathing. So we're strengthening the muscle, the anterior tibialis muscle in the front of the shin. If you're not able to do this, you could do this just by sitting in your chair and just flexing and pointing the ankles. So just doing some ankle mobility movements. That could work as well. Whew. I don't know if you guys are feeling this burn as much as I am, but I certainly am. You could also do this in tennis shoes. That can add the padding. You can try a few more. You can always take a break. I'm trying to do as many as I can at the moment before I really fatigue. Good, and then when you're ready, just coming up and turning around and stretching the top of the foot and the shin muscle as well. Good. Just take a couple of breaths on each side. Good, and now you can come away from the wall and we'll grab our block, or if you don't have a block, you could use any kind of object for this, just not too heavy, okay? We're gonna take our feet wide, and if you need help with balance support, you could have a chair back in front of you. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up my right foot. You could open your right or your left, doesn't matter, okay? It's easier for you to mirror me. You could do the opposite. So I'm in a warrior two stance and I've kicked my back heel back a bit. All right, just see how that feels. And inhale, straighten the leg, and exhale, bend. Good, inhale, straighten. I've got my object in my back arm, okay, my back hand. Good. Okay, now we'll see if we can keep that knee bent. The knee is opening up toward the center of the foot and stacked over the ankle. And you can either bring your hand to your thigh, see I've got this right here, or if it feels like leaning into your forearm feels better, you can do that. So just check both and see what feels better in your body, okay? Pick one, right? Then we're gonna take that top arm and make big circles with the arm. And you're welcome to move the head around too if you want. There's no right or wrong way to do it. We're just kind of opening up and also holding something in the arm, in the hand. Let's go one more time. Good. Now, if you're over on your forearm, next time you come down, you can just bring yourself back up, straighten the leg, bring the toe forward, and then switch sides. So opening up the other foot, kicking back the back heel. Let's bend and straighten a few times. You can switch hands with your object. Just notice how this hip feels, how the knee feels. And when you're ready to, you can keep it bent, and you'll notice I've got my belly button doesn't point to the knee, it points away from the knee. In Warrior Two, you're facing away from the front knee. It's like a side warrior. Okay, and now front hand either on thigh, or it could be forearm to thigh. You can again test it out, see what you like better today. All right, and then same thing with this back arm. As big circles, you can go either direction. You can follow your object with your eyes if you want to. That'll make the balancing a little trickier, add another element into it. Good, and then the next time you come down, let's straighten that front leg, turn the toes back to the center. Yeah, all right, or the front. Now from here, I'm going to show this from the side. Let me bending side to side. Now, as I bend side to side, I can move, and you can too, move your foot any direction you want to. So if you want to move the way your foot faces, you can do that. And you notice as I do this bending side to side, for this exercise, I'm going to keep my back in neutral. So even if I decide to go down further, I'm still here, I'm not here, right? Okay, so just being aware of that, and you get to decide how much you bend. But now we're gonna add in the element of the block, okay? So we're gonna take the block around the back and pass it to the front hand. Make the biggest circle you can, and then around the back, front hand, side to side. Now it might be tricky if you can't bend your knee enough to get there, right? So again, yeah, I like that, Terry. I like adding in the eyes to look. That's cool too. You can add in the eyes if you want to. Follow your block around. And just notice, how does your shoulder feel? How big of a circle feels okay? And same with your knees and hips. Good, now let's come back to the center and take a break. Good, okay, so being aware, again, of this, we're gonna do it again, but the opposite way. And also being aware of this, like a lot of neck extension, right? Try to keep your head and neck in neutral as you're going. Okay, so to change it up, we're just gonna go from the front to the back this time. So as you go to one side, you're gonna pass it from the front to the back, around, front to back. And again, you can look at it if you want to. Can you keep the arms straight? Is that a possibility for your body? Couple more. Good, and then coming back up to center. Let's wiggle the feet closer together. This time you can put your object down and notice. All right, let's get our chairs. We're gonna sit in them. And before we do a pose here, Well, let's do a little bit of breath work. So first, as you sit down, noticing your feet on the floor, you can rest your back against the back of the chair if you'd like to. And just notice if you feel your feet, your seat, or your back the most. Good. And then what else do you notice? You might notice what your heart rate feels like right now. It might be elevated from the last movement or not. You might be noticing other things like areas of tension or pain, or you might be noticing how your mind feels. So let's do another breath that helps you to extend the exhale. So as I mentioned, when you're focusing on the exhale and accentuating it, you are working to lower, you're helping to lower your heart rate, you're helping to lower your blood pressure and kind of turn on the brakes of our nervous system. So it's just one input and I bring that all down, okay? So to focus on the exhale, we can also do the Brahmari breath. That's the Sanskrit for it, but it also sometimes we call it the bee's breath. And that's the one where you hum for the exhale. So you take an inhale through your nose, and then on the exhale, you just hum as long as you can hum without strain, okay? Don't make it stressful. And then when you're done with the hum, you just inhale again and hum again. All right. So if you want to, you can join me on Zoom. When I hum or hold any note, it kind of cuts off. So you won't be able to hear me fully humming, but I'm just going to hum until the end and then start again. And the way I'm going to do this, let's do it just, I think, 4 times. So I'll do the first hum. I'll touch my thumb to my index. And then the second hum, thumb to middle, then thumb to ring, then thumb to pinky. And that's just to count. And it also gives a little tactile input too. Okay? So if you want to join me, you can. I'm just going to start now. Okay, inhaling. Keep going, trying to notice the vibrations that you feel around your lips and your jaw and your throat as you hum. And it doesn't matter how long you hum, you just do what works for you. And whenever you finish, you could stretch out your hands if you want, or just sit and notice the effects. And you may or may not have felt an effect on your nervous system. For me, this one works pretty powerfully. I can feel a calming of my nervous system when I do it. That's why I like the addition of the sound for me. You don't have to do it that way. You know, the other breath we were talking about is just 2 short inhales. Before we just did 1, but just 2 short. So it's like you inhale through the nose, and then you do a second one quickly to fill up the lungs as much as you can, and then you go long out the mouth through pursed lips. And then again. And again. Good, and then just noticing how you feel. All right, I'm going to do a no load lunge. So to do this in a chair, I'm going to turn my body to one side, and I'm holding the back of the chair with my back arm, and my front hip is going to come off of the chair, if that works for you. So my other hip is on the seat, right? Then I'll take my back leg back behind me. So I've got my toes tucked under. Some people's feet don't do this because of some injuries and surgery. So you may need to modify. It might be a little harder to get into it that way, but you can. Okay, now you'll see if I frame my pelvis with my hands, you'll see that my pelvis is, if it were a bowl, it would be leaning this way, tipping forward, right? So what I'm going to do is make it upright. So see what I did? I brought my tail down to point toward the floor, and I'm getting a stretch through this, right? Through the quadricep. For me, this is my tricky knee, so sometimes it's a little painful on my knee when I do it that way. If that's you, you can back your knee up further like this, and that will hopefully take some of the pressure off your knee, or you can take it out of it and stretch it out too. Okay, so you want to feel a good stretch through the thigh or hip and breathe strongly. Or I shouldn't say strongly. What I mean to say is calmly. Okay, let's take 2 more breaths here. One more. Good. And then you can lean back toward the back of the chair to bring that leg forward. And then turn around to your second side. So again, you're holding the back of the chair, shifting so the front hip can come off, then bringing the back leg, or bringing the leg back. Seeing how this side is going to work, right? So here, my pelvis is dumping forward. I'm going to bring it upright by drawing the tail down, finding this stretch, lifting up through the top of your head, and long exhales. So by doing a long exhale in the various poses that we do in yoga, we're giving our brain the information that there's nothing to be stressed about. So it's just like one little bit of information, right? But if there's pain involved, your brain is getting another bit of information that's saying this is no good. So you should listen to that, right? Your brain gets lots of information. Good, and then when you're ready, you can lean back toward the back of your chair and turn around facing the front. All right, we're going to do a few sit to stands. Now, I'm going to do those 2-legged, right? We're not going to try to lift one leg off the floor or anything. But to do that, you want to get up toward the front of your seat. So in yoga, it's called chair pose, but we're going to come up and down, so it's dynamic, right? You can bring your feet a little bit back. And the key is when I stand, I'm going to keep my knees as wide as my feet. So in other words, I'm not going to let them come in. I'm going to try to press them out. And I'm also going to try to keep my hinge with a neutral spine. So when I come forward, I'm not coming here to come up. Okay, I'm reaching my chest forward, my collarbones are wide. So what we're going to try to do, so for some of you this might be hard, and you might not even be able to do it without your hands, okay, and that's fine. For those of you that it's easy, you're going to try to hover a little bit. So it'll look like this, and you can try it with me or you can just watch. I'm going to inhale, I'm going to exhale, hover for a count, and then come up slowly. I'm going to engage my butt muscles when I come up, and then I'll inhale and exhale as I go down, and I'm going to come down slowly and try to hover over the seat and then sit. Okay? All right, so you've got the idea. You know what's hard or easy for you. Let's try to do, so you could do 3 of these, you could do 5, or you might do 8. Okay? You choose. All right, so when you're ready, but keep that slow pace. Keep the slow pace, all right? So I'll do it nice and slow. When you're ready, begin. And you don't have to breathe in any special way. Now, keep going, you guys. I don't think you guys are doing this from what I can see. I think you're all doing it without momentum, which is good. So if I were to use momentum, it would be like this. I'd be really throwing my chest forward to help myself come up. So instead, I'm trying to use those leg muscles, right? Just being aware of that. So you will need to lean your hinge a little bit forward in order to get up there, but really feel yourself drive your heels down to help you come up. Keeping those knees the same width as your feet. And you can make your feet whatever width you want. Now the next time that we come up, let's stay up. Or if you wanted to do a couple more, you could too, okay? If you're ready to be done, when you come up this time, just come up and stand. Let's do inhale, open the arms, and exhale, wrap right arm on top of left for a hug, and you can let your spine round if you want to, and then we'll alternate sides. So the inhale will be opening, and the exhale, hug other arm on top. Okay. Now let's add in, only if it works in your shoulders, eagle arms. So eagle would be instead of the hug, and that's only if the elbows hook. If they don't hook, if you're like this, stick with the hug, okay? And then you can pause in it, or you can go side to side. You can see what feels better. Good. Okay, and then when you're done, bringing your arms down, and then inhale, rolling the shoulders up, and exhale, take them down your back. All right, for balance, for this next part, you may need your chair at your side. So it would be the back of the chair at your side. Okay, I'm going to do crescent lunge. Crescent lunge is a standing lunge that's kind of like warrior one, except the back heel is off the floor, okay? So I've got my chair at my side ready, and the foot on the inside I'm going to bring forward. And I'm going to take my back foot back with the heel up. I'm going to bend my knee, okay? And I'm going to bend the back knee too, to find that same kind of stretchy feeling in the front of the back thigh. Now, you'll see I've got my knee over my ankle in this. So I'm not here, but I'm here, okay? Good. Now just notice how this is feeling, tucking that pelvis under as best you can. And then can you lift the top of your head toward the ceiling? If you want to, you can always take the outer arm up, or even both arms up. We'll take a couple of breaths there. Good. And then just bring the arms down, step it forward, shake it out a little bit. All right. And then we'll turn around to the other side. So same thing. Inside foot is forward, back foot, outside foot is back. I'm gonna bend the front knee and then the back knee. So I'm going for right angles, but you may not get them. You have to see how it feels in your body. Top of the head toward the ceiling. You can check out ankle and foot if you want to, and then lifting head, arm or both arms could come up. Good. Good, and then when you're ready, stepping up. All right, kind of shake it out a little bit. Let's do a few bounces, like you're on a trampoline. Okay, letting everything bounce around. If you want to, you could also hop around if you wanted, actually getting the balls of the feet off the floor too. Up to you for 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then just standing. And now let's come back to turning inward. I mean, specifically, hopefully you're turning inward anyway, but just noticing how you're feeling now compared to when we did this right at the beginning. So your eyes could be open or closed. Noticing your heart rate, your connection with the floor, your body side to side, top to bottom, front to back. And then slowing down your breath. You could inhale through the nose and exhale out through the nose or mouth. Good. And then opening eyes if they're closed. I'm going to take that chair in front of us again. Let's start with the back of the chair facing us. Okay, so I'm going to practice Warrior 3 pose, and I'm going to show it a couple of different ways. So let's try it this way first. We're going to inhale, stepping right leg forward. I'm going to place the hands on the chair and start to lift the back leg off the floor. But let's also put a bend in the front knee. So you bend the front knee and shift that right hip back. Good. And keep breathing. Now you could start to bring your chest more parallel with the floor if it feels okay in your body, but you don't have to. And keep turning that left hip toward the floor. Good. And now let's inhale to stand back up and notice. All right. Let's do the same thing on the other side, okay? So left foot, both hands on the chair, and put a bend in that standing leg. Now when I bend the standing leg, I'm going to take my weight to the heel. And I'm going to either stay upright more, or you can start to tip so that your chest comes more parallel to the floor, turning that right hip toward the floor. Breathing. Good. And then coming up. So it strengthens the hip to stand on balance on one leg in that way. Now, this next time, just watch me first. I'm going to do the left leg so you can see what it's doing. I'm going to come in the same way. Now, if you wanted to go further and you feel like you're crunched up, you just move the chair further away, right? So I'll be here, we'll come into it the same, but then I'm really going to put my weight in that standing heel, right? So I'm not here, but here, so that my center of gravity lowers a little bit, and maybe you could take arms away. You don't have to. You could just take one, right? You might just think about it, okay? Let's try it out. Either leg, stepping forward. Exhale as you start to hinge. Bend your standing leg, but weight in the heel. So you might need to adjust how far you are from the chair. Turn that upper hip toward the floor. You can always put the toes back down behind you, right? You don't have to have them up. And then if you want to, you can try to balance. Remember, back of the neck is in neutral, so your chin's not forward. Virabhadrasana 3, and then coming up when you're ready. Shake it out a little bit, and then we'll try the other side, okay? So you can even inhale, stretch your arms up, and exhale, step forward with the other leg. Let's put a bend in the knee and find your weight in the heel, and lifting that back leg off the floor any amount. Turning that back hip toward the floor, and then you might try to balance. Spreading out across the chest. I'm just taking my arms out like an airplane arms. Yeah, but you could do one, or you could keep your hands down. Good. And then coming up. Shake it out a little bit. All right, nice, you guys. So we're going to come down to the floor, and we're going to come down in a specific way through a lunge. So you might need a padding for your knee, either a pillow or a blanket. And, I was working with one of the teachers that I work with, and one of the things she said, and it made me think of all of you and everybody, that we are so used to getting up and out of chairs with two legs that often what limits people's mobility for getting up and down from the floor is they don't have a lot of one leg strength, right? It's like they always are sitting in chairs, so it's both legs, like when we did our sit to stand. So lunges and other things are a lot of one-legged strength, or mostly one-legged. So we're gonna practice getting down with one leg. Of course, if you're injured, you can't do it on one side, please do what you need to do. I'm gonna use the chair or not. I'm gonna inhale. Exhale, I'm going to bend my back knee, bring it down to the blanket. I'm going to inhale, and you don't have to go all the way. So if you have an injury, you could just go part way. You could use your chair or not. Exhale, come back up. Okay? Just try it a few times on one side. Good. So if you were just going part way, it might look like this. If you're building strength, you're not there yet, or you have an injury on one side, you might just go part way down, part way up, trying to keep more of this neutral spine as you go. And good, yeah, having the chair at the side is a great idea too, because then I'm not leaning forward, right? So I like that too. Okay, and then after you've done a few on one, let's try the other. Might go part way, you might go all the way. Breathing and also tuning into what's getting in the way, what makes it hard, if anything, for you. Like for me on this side, it's my knee that's kind of tricky. But it might be a foot, it might be an ankle, it could be anything, it could be an injury. The next time you come down, let's stay down. And if you can't get down that way, come down to the floor any way that you can. All right. Okay. I'm sitting up on a blanket. You could sit on a blanket or a block. I'm going to stretch the legs out in front. Feel the legs. Okay, so you'll notice as I'm doing this, I'm doing a little in and out stretch, right? I'm hinging forward and coming back up. For some people, simply sitting like this will be a stretch. So some people might need to stay here and use their hands to press them forward, okay? So just noticing, this is called Paschimottanasana. When you hold it, it is, okay? You can also hold it if you prefer. Good. So we talked about some stretches before bed, and although that's not the focus of today's session, I will show you one here. And you could do this by your bed. You might need to get an object like your chair, get over to your chair. So any kind of forward fold can be soothing before bed and holding it for some time. So for example, here, now my bed right now has drawers under it, so I can't get my legs under it, it won't work, but you might have a bed that you can put your legs under or a chair in your bedroom. And so I'm going to use my chair and I'm putting the legs under it. But you could also do a V, right? You could also do cross-legged, any of those. So just pick what position do you want to do right now and get yourself with something that you can lean your head on. And if it's a hard surface, you might need to put something on it, like a blanket. For me, I'm gonna go legs out, and then you can decide. So for some people, they may not be able to lean forward at all. So in that case, you could just relax your neck like this, okay, and sit upright. Or you might even need something behind your back. And for others, if you're more flexible through the legs and the back, you might push your chair forward or back yourself up from it like this. And I'm letting my neck be fully relaxed. I'm letting my upper back round, so I'm not trying to keep a neutral spine. Letting shoulders soften. And then as you inhale, you can inhale and try to feel your breath expanding your upper back. And then as you exhale, you could blow out through pursed lips. You could hum on the way out, or you could use just a long, natural exhale. But try to get your exhale at least a couple of counts longer than your inhale. And then whenever you're ready, you could always stay there longer if you wanted. You can come up from that. Bring your legs in. I always recommend calf stretches before bed too, but you need a little bit of a strap for that, or you could do a standing calf stretch. So when I send you guys that before bed routine, it will definitely have that in it. But for now, let's just stretch the back of the leg in general. If you have a strap, you could grab it, or you could put it against a piece of furniture, put your leg against a piece of the furniture. What I'm going to do is inhale to stretch a leg up. I came down onto my back. And exhale, putting the strap over the foot, or you can hold behind the leg, as long as you can relax your shoulders. Okay. Your opposite leg can be bent or straight. Whatever feels like you can start calming your nervous system. You can move around the ankle if you want to. And we're staying with that same long exhale. and can bend that knee. If you're using a strap, you could set it to your side. I'm going to do a knee down twist. So I'm going to take my left hand to my right knee, or the opposite. Straighten out the left leg, extending the right arm to the side, and then bring the knee across the body. You could do any kind of twist. Again, inhaling perhaps for a count of 3 or 4, and then exhaling at least a couple of counts longer. And then coming back to the center with your knee, you could hold the knee in both hands, tuck the chin, and curl up toward the knee with your head and shoulders. And then bringing your head down and the foot down. So that right leg, or whatever leg you're using, can be bent or straight on the floor. Bring the other leg in, extending it up toward the ceiling, either with your hands or a strap. Doing some ankle mobility. So when we talk about stretches before bed, you can target areas that feel tight to you, but some common ones are calves and ankles, spine, just twisting in some way, and then also upper back, right? Upper back and shoulders, hips. But the key is you're doing some poses or stretches that are passive and relaxing, so they're not super active, and you're holding them for longer. And then when you're ready to, you could bend that knee and come into your knee down twist, or any kind of twist. Still focusing on that longer exhale. Coming out as you're ready, you could draw the knee in towards your belly and then exhale to curl up toward it. Good. And releasing to the floor in any pose of relaxation, and get yourself comfortable. Moving shoulder blades away from ears. And here you could take a sigh or do that same blowing out through pursed lips. Letting go of as much effort as you can. With each breath, imagine sinking a little bit deeper into the floor below you. Noticing all the places where you're making contact with the floor. Softening your face and your jaw, your belly, your legs, and your hands.